Hey y'all, welcome back. This is part 3 in my series of installing my new patio pollinator garden. And I've got almost everything installed, and I'm super excited to show you where we ended up in this process. So come along with me, we'll check it out. We'll talk about how things are going to grow in over the next few months. And yeah, let's go. If you're new here, I'm Sally and I am the half grass gardener. I garden in zone 8B in Central Texas, and I'm on a mission to turn my backyard into a pollinator friendly native habitat and hopefully get rid of about half of my lawn. So this is a project I've been working on for a few weeks. I've got 2 other videos where I talked about prepping my bed, doing my garden plan, and now this is part 3. We're going to talk about the install, and I'm going to show you guys everything that I ended up putting in and hopefully give you some ideas and inspiration for your next garden. So let's get going. All right, guys, so here is my big reveal. Yes, I get it. Everything looks a little underwhelming, but you know what? Everything's going to grow in. And the whole point of establishing plants in fall is so they can get their roots going and focus their energy on getting ready for big spring leaves and blooms. So I want to just go through, talk a little bit about my garden plan and what I ended up putting in, tell you a little bit about each plant. And yeah, we'll just get going. So first off, if you remember from my garden plan, I said I wanted to put something that was going to be like 5 or 6 feet tall and help me soften this corner here of the house. And I did have a rock rose that had been here for a couple of years, but just wasn't looking that great, and I really wanted something taller. So I took out the rock rose and I've put in a cestrum. And cestrum is not native to Texas. It's actually native to South and Central America, but it's well adapted and it's not an invasive species. It gets these beautiful yellow flowers, and in the evenings when the temperatures start to cool down a little bit, it has the most lovely fragrance. So if we want to sit on our patio and have dinner or just hang out, we're going to be able to enjoy that smell of the cestrum. Next to that is a salvia farinaceae or a mealy cup sage. I can't remember if this is an indigo spires or a mystic spires. I always get those two mixed up. This did get kind of a weird prune this summer, so it looks a little funky. But check it out, y'all. It is November, and look at those blooms. This is such a pollinator magnet. Bees especially love the blue salvias. And these will get anywhere from 30 to 36 inches tall, and they'll basically get as wide as you'll let them. Below me, I've got a bicolor salvia greggii, and like all salvia greggii, this is going to get about 2.5 feet wide and anywhere from like 18 to 24 inches tall. I love this bicolor because it's like a pink and white, and it's just got a little extra fun to it. I've got another one on the other side of the yard, so you'll be able to see what that looks like. Right here at my feet, I've got a Monarda. This one is not native to Texas. It is a cultivar, but again, it's very well adapted to us. Pollinator magnet, obviously, it's a Monarda, it's a bee balm. And what I really love about this is it gets the new foliage on it is like a kind of a maroony purple. So when it's going to leaf out in the springtime, it is just going to be beautiful next to my yellow cestrum flowers. So I can't wait to see what this looks like. This again will get about 30 inches tall and about the same width. And they take really well to pruning. So if it does get a little out of control, I can, kind of take it back a little bit. Right behind it, I've got a tropical sage. This is my Salvia coccinea, and this is a Texas native. You can see it's got the red flowers, which means, of course, that it is going to be a hummingbird magnet. These reseed very easily, so they do kind of fill in the space. And if you get any extras that maybe you don't want, You can always pull them up and throw them away, give them to a friend, put them somewhere else in your garden, whatever makes sense for you. Right in front of me, under my handy plant stand, I've got another salvia greggii. This one is white, and it's super teeny tiny because I propagated this from another plant in my yard. Same as all salvia greggii, it's going to get a couple feet wide, about 2 feet tall, and with the white blooms, it will just add some brightness to this area where I have a lot of color. And then right down here, I've got my blue grama grass. This is a Texas native, one of our most popular Texas natives. This only gets to about 12 to 18 inches tall, the foliage, but then it gets these beautiful seed spikes on it. It's got they call it like the eyelash seed, and these are just beautiful when they are in bloom. They give a lot of interest to your fall and winter landscape, but then they also just add some airiness and kind of break up some of the leaf forms that we see in the rest of the garden. So love the blue grama grass. And now I've got a Zexminia Texas Superstar. They are yellow flowers, pollinator magnets. They really just don't need anything to just be rock stars. So super excited about this. These get to about 3 feet tall at the max. They usually stay closer to like 2 to 2.5 feet, but they will spread, and they can get a little unruly just because they can get pretty big if they're really happy. But again, they take really well to pruning. I have another plant stand over here. This is a blue plumbago, and again, really small, tiny plant. This is another propagation I took from another part of my yard. That was actually a propagation I took from my neighbor's yard, so free plant. This is not a Texas native. It's one of, I think, 3 non-natives that I have in my garden, but it's well adapted, and the blue flowers are just amazing. These can actually get really large. They can get about 4 feet wide and a little over 3 feet tall. If it gets 4 feet, I've got the room for it, so we'll just kind of see how it goes. Behind me, of course, I do have my line of kind of sad looking liriope. I do plan on keeping this because I do want to keep some structure, some evergreen structure to the garden. This was all I had for a really long time. I have a couple here on the end that, for whatever reason, this summer did not do that well, but they're kind of coming back. And I've got some zinnia volunteers. I had zinnias all in this bed this summer. I thought I had pulled everything, but obviously I had some seeds that have gone ahead and started to grow. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe if we keep up this warm weather, we'll get some flowers that go into December. So here in this corner right next to the path, my plan originally was to put in some Agastachycana. It is one of the most beautiful plants. It's got these vibrant fuchsia flowers, pollinator magnet, Texas native. I have not been able to find them. So I plan to hopefully find seeds and grow some from seed over the winter time, and we'll see how that works out, and if it does, then we might replace what we've put in the meantime. I have transplanted a couple of Gora from another part of the landscape. You can see they're not super happy. I think they were in too much shade, but so they had to be transplanted anyway. So if they end up getting moved, I'm not going to be too upset about maybe losing one of these. I could put just one Agastachy and keep the white Gora here. We'll just kind of see how that goes. Next to it, I have a Texas Betony, and this is another one that I'm not 100% sure I'm going to keep here. These might need a little bit more shade. I've talked to other gardeners who have said that theirs do well in shade. I've talked to some who've said theirs do well in full sun. I think some of it kind of depends on your microclimate. So we're going to see how it does, at least for this season. But these are a beautiful Texas native. They get red flowers, pollinator magnets. Hummingbirds love them. Sir, do you mind? Do you mind? All right. So these get to about 30 inches tall at the max. They usually stay a little bit shorter, probably closer to that like 2 foot range, and about 2 feet is wide as well. And then on the other side, I have another Zexminia to match the one on my left hand side. Here at the end, I have my Yaupon holly. This is a dwarf. This is the Stokes variety, and this is a dwarf Yaupon. Again, talking about the structure, the evergreen structure, I really like the idea of adding some formality to my cottage garden just to give it some structure. So this is going to have a natural globe shape, and they take really well to pruning. So if I want to be crazy and keep it really tidy with some topiary trimming to keep it a true ball, I could do that. These are pretty slow growing, Texas native. But they'll provide, not only the evergreen interest, but it'll be a place where, birds and insects can build a habitat. So it'll provide some protection for them. And I love these. They're basically set it and forget it plants here in Central Texas. Right in front of me, I've got another bicolor salvia, and this is the same one that I had on the other side. The other one's not in bloom. I actually sourced them from 2 different places, but they are the same cultivar. So it's just beautiful. I love that pink. All right, and now getting closer to the edge of the bed. This is my hibiscus martianus. This will get about 18 inches tall. It's got a really nice kind of almost chartreuse leaf. It's not quite as yellow as a true chartreuse, but it's got the really beautiful red hibiscus flowers. Of course, hummingbirds are going to love it. And these stay pretty low. It gets to maybe like an 18 to 20 inches. So even though it's sort of my border plant, I wanted something that wasn't going to get lost in front of that Yaupon holly once it grows out. So right in front of me, I've got my Sculptaria radii. This is the purple skullcap, or the right skullcap, which is the Texas native. And you can see it just gets this really pretty, that's, very traditional sage green. And of course, I've actually got a little flower on it. This one's a little scraggly, but these are compact evergreen. They get no more than about 10 inches tall, so they are perfect for the border. It will grow to about 2 feet wide, so it'll be a nice little spreading flowering option. Here I've got a couple of four-nerve daisies, and I've got one on the other side that actually is in flower right now. These are just the cutest things. These also stay evergreen, and they get these super cute little yellow flowers. Kind of looks like something out of Dr. Seuss. They can get to about a foot wide, and so they're so cute when they're planted in mass. I only found 3 of them at the nursery, so I am looking for a few more of these. I would have liked to have about 4 or 5 more to kind of add into this area, maybe like 3 more here, and then another couple on this side. Right behind those, I've got my rock penstemon, another Texas native. These have the really pretty like maroon stems, and then your kind of thinner leaves. They get red flowers. They stay about 18 inches, so they don't get super big, but they do have that pop of color. This will be a nice size to have next to the rocks. Another purple skullcap. This is another Agora. I think this is a pink siskiyou, but I'm not 100% sure on the variety. But I just love Gora. They are Texas natives, and they keep that sort of full base, and then they get the long stems with the really pretty fluttery flowers on them that just kind of dance in the wind and add just kind of an ethereal, I don't know, fairy quality to them. I love them, and I love this pink. And what I like is you have kind of this full base of foliage, which gets to maybe 12 inches max, and then you've got the stems that come up with the flowers. And then here I've got a couple of echinacea. This is a dwarf variety. I actually transplanted these from another part of my yard, and since it's a cultivar, it is not considered a Texas native, although purple coneflower is native to Texas. I do have some seeds that I collected from these, so I'm hoping to sow those over the winter and to be able to really fill in quite a bit of this border area with several more of those echinacea. All right, one last look. And I still have a little bit to do. I've got to put a little more mulch on here. And of course, I've got a couple of plants, my blue grama grass and a couple of the four-nerve daisy. I've got some echinacea I'm growing from seed. I've got some hopefully agastache or agastache that I'm growing from seed. And I'm just really excited. I think this is going to fill out beautifully and be just a lovely addition to the garden. And hopefully the pollinators will come to the yard. All right, guys, I would love to know what you think of my pollinator patio garden. I know I've got a lot of small stuff in here, but I cannot wait until March and April when everything starts growing and blooming and coming into its own. And you know, I think there needs to be a little reality check in gardening. You know, sometimes I watch some of these other gardeners and they've got sponsors and they've been, you know, gardening for years, or they work for nurseries and they have these, you know, plantings that they do with, you know, 2 and 3 gallon perennials. And for most of us, that's just not something that is attainable. You know, a lot of times we either can't find the plants or just don't have the budget. And, you know, starting from a 4-inch pot, you're going to get the same thing. And especially with a lot of these flowering perennials, if you've heard the little adage, sleep, creep, and leap, you know, a little patience, and in a couple years, you're going to have a huge, beautiful filled in garden. And in the meantime, you'll just have some smaller plants, but you're still going to have pollinators. You're still going to have beautiful flowers. You're still going to have a sense of accomplishment because of everything that you've done. And you're still going to be making your life and the life of the native bees and bugs and critters better by bringing you know, new plants and food sources to them. So don't feel like you have to keep up with, you know, these huge garden influencers who are doing things that just aren't accessible to the majority of us. Oh, and if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe, make sure to give me a thumbs up, and send this to a friend who might be interested in their own pollinator garden.